Those are the most like unoriginal jokes ever. They're not sick burns.
I'm the Supreme Court of sick. I always say I want to punch you in the head. I don't know. I'm his brother, not his counselor.
Okay. During the round. During the round. First thing is be bold. What? Oh, you. Thaddeus is the man.
Yeah, it's already.
Okay. It's not?
I don't think so. Look at the end.
Oh, you're right. Whatever. Be bold. Be bold, okay? So here's how you don't be bold. So say your case is, oh, I love this case, so I'm going to use it anyway. Say our case is abolish the Electoral College or something like that, okay? Here's how you don't be bold. Actually, I'll say how you do be bold first because it just makes more sense, okay? Here's how you are bold. Any president not elected by a majority of Americans is an illegitimate president no matter how much good he does in office, okay? If you were to run abolishing the Electoral College centered on minority presidents, not minority as in like race or anything like that, but presidents being elected by a minority of the American population, but getting more electoral votes, then a stance like that is something bold that draws a clear line that says, this is okay, this is not okay. Taking a stand on a hill. Being not bold would be something like, we think that it benefits the American people more when they have a president who is elected by the majority of Americans because democracy, rah, 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 something like that, okay? Like, it still sounds good. You can still make good arguments out of it, but you're not being bold and you're not showing confidence in your position whatsoever. You're not drawing a line and saying, this is what's okay, this is what isn't.
You have a good position when you have a judge that's following what you're saying, and as you say something, they look up and kind of look like, that's interesting.
And
that's when you know you have a good position.
And if the judge is ever just like, yes, then you're just sweet. You know you're doing good.
P.S. If you get Ryan or Benji as a judge this week for the tournament, and you get them to go like this in the round, you've won.
maybe you haven't won, but you definitely won that argument. Like, if you're smoking them so bad that we're just like right on, then you're doing well. Okay? So be confident with your position. It does a couple things. First off, it shows that you're not afraid to take a stance and that you're not afraid to say this is what we believe in and this is what we don't. And it shows the judge that yes, we realize that when we take a position, that there's going to be people who aren't okay with it, that they're going to bring up we link into some disadvantages or what have you. We understand that, but we're confident in that we're right on this position. When you're wishy-washy and not locking yourself down in anything, yes, you can kind of get around DAs by saying, well, that's not really what we were saying. We weren't saying it to that extent or something like that. But you don't come across to the judge as confident in your abilities and confident in the argument that it's true and that you're going to win on it.
Okay, I'm going to take a position and stand on it and see what happens and be kind of meta for a minute.
Oh my.
My position is that you should be able to lose almost every argument in a debate round, but if you win your position, if you win your thesis, then you should still win the debate round. As an affirmative team, obviously you have to like watch out for totality and stuff. But if you, as a negative team, you can concede solvency, you can concede significance. But if you have a position that you win, you should be able to win that debate round. So that's my little meta rant about positions.
JP?
You can't win your position if you haven't won the arguments in the judge's mind.
No, okay, you guys are confusing what a position means in this situation.
Go for it.
A position is kind of the thesis that you believe. Now that thesis can be something like drones are inherently bad. You can concede that there's a significant harm happening in the Middle East. You can concede that their plan would solve that problem. But if they do it via a bad means, which is your theme, then you can concede those arguments and still win the debate round. The theme or the position is your biggest argument.
So like with the Kyrgyzstan break you gave us, if I can get the judge to believe that Kyrgyzstan should be an independent country because they are an independent ethnic group and they should not be, they should be a sovereign nation. If I can make the judge believe that, then I should be able to win the debate round even if I lose every single one of my arguments within round.
Yeah, you probably want to break it down into two things. One, self-determination is a right. Two, the people of Kurdistan. I keep saying Kyrgyzstan, which isn't right, but the Kurds deserve that right. Okay?
So yeah, your theme would be self-determination is a right. That would be your position, and you can concede a whole host of other arguments.
I'm not saying you can concede everything.
No. Obviously, it's not Not necessarily. Stock issues are kind of like a very narrow paradigm of looking at argumentation. Technically, most of it falls under disadvantages or significant stuff.
Cool. But I think we're getting away from the main point,
Yeah,
which is don't be afraid to take a position, be bold, and all that good stuff. Okay. Be unique. Okay. Debate is all debate is just a comparison of you with your opponents. From the judge's perspective, that's all debate is. Okay. They're looking at 2 different teams, 4 different people, comparing them up, matching them up, and seeing what makes one team or one individual stand out from the rest of the group, okay? I think I talked about a couple different ways that you can improve speaker points, which is humor, being passionate about something, and telling the judge something that they don't know. All 3 of those add to you being unique. I can't really give you like a stock model for here's how you be unique or something like that. Oftentimes it's very personal and very specific to the round you're debating at. For instance, we are debating this case the very first round of nationals, so round 1. The case was to make it so that UN employees could only be paid 110% of what the equal US official that they were matched with was paid. Okay, basically stopping the UN from paying their employees an exorbitant amount or something like that. And so their case was capping it at 110%. And we had a piece of evidence that said it was only at 106% or something like that, and it hadn't changed like ever, okay? Or actually, I'm sure it had changed ever. It like hadn't ever gone over 110% or something like that. And so what we did was, in my 1NC, I gave a 4-minute 1NC, 4 minutes, so out of 8 minutes. And all I said was, look, I could waste your time and like spread this out over 8 minutes, but I don't really want to. Here's what's happening. Their plan is literally doing nothing. And so I communicated to the judge all of that stuff, and then I sat down after 4 minutes. We won the round, got 30 speaker points because we owned on that argument. Okay, we just brutally owned because we understood that being unique in that aspect meant saying this is all we need to argue in order to win, and it's okay if we do that. I don't recommend you give a 4-minute 1NC. I'm not recommending that at all because you being unique is going to look a lot different from me being unique. That's literally the definition of uniqueness. Like, is that it's not standard across different people. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, be cohesive. So someone threw out there cohesiveness, which I really, really like. You want to come across as a team, not 2 individuals. Couple different ways that you do that. First off, you talk about the same things, which means in your partner's speech, he doesn't get up and just talk about solvency, and then in your speech, you get up and talk about disadvantages, and then you're talking about 2 totally separate things the entire round until the 2NR when he has to talk about both of them. Kind of a thing. Okay? When you do that, you do not look like a team. You look like 2 debaters debating for the same side about totally unrelated issues. Having cohesiveness and talking about the same things, talking about the same issues, makes you look like a team when you're using the same catchphrases and different things like that.
I can totally speak from experience because every time me and Josh were off topic with each other,
yeah.
When we were negative, the judge would vote us down every single time, and it was really frustrating because we would always. I would be talking about one thing, but then he would get up and get his own different interpretation of the case because we weren't on the same page,
yeah.
And we lost every single time.
Yep. Another way you do that, oh, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, you can pull off a split negative rather effectively. My partner and I did that a lot because we just had a lot of things to say, quite honestly. And what we ended up doing is he would lay out the entire debate round in his first speech. So he would say, like, I'll be covering these 3 arguments, my partner will be covering these 3 arguments. They're going to fit together in the rebuttals. We'll show you how they work, but in the constructives, we're going to lay out X amount of arguments. You can still be cohesive and run different arguments, but they need to mention each other, kind of. They need to link together.
So aside from just arguments, cross-X also, oh gosh, I can't speak today. I'm sorry. I'm getting sick, I believe, so, which isn't fun. Cross-X also helps you be cohesive as a team. And that when your partner gets up as the 2NC and they ask the 1AC questions, they shouldn't just be asking questions that are going to fit into their speech. They should be asking questions that are going to fit into yours. And even if they do that, if you get up in your speech and don't reference a single question your partner asked, you don't look cohesive. You need to be able to get up in your speech and be like, my partner asked this, here's how they answered, and here's how that helps me set up this argument right here. Referencing what your partner asked in cross-X makes it look like you talked about what you were going to ask beforehand. It makes it look like you're on the same page about what you're going to be arguing. Okay? Very, very important. And a lot of that comes from pre-round preparation. Okay, understanding what you're going to argue against certain cases, understanding who's going to argue what you're going to say, different things like that. Claire talked about all the different things you can prep beforehand. So my partner and I always decided who was talking first as the negative, who was talking second, and then what the big issues we were going to focus on was, and then we generally had a theme or like a one-sentence kind of thesis for it. I prepped out jokes, but I mean, Claire definitely didn't do that. So
We had a couple of pre-scripted jokes. We just
they probably weren't funny.
No. We were like, this isn't funny.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this one.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on being cohesive? Sweet. Okay. Be smart. Sweet. First thing you need to do in order to be smart in rounds is to evaluate the round as a whole and identify the crux. Okay? You're going to hear that a lot, and I'm sure you've already heard it several times, is identifying the crux of the debate round. Benjamin Griffith, our LD guy, he's got a great talk on identifying the core of debates. Actually, he already gave you guys that talk, didn't he? The Southwest one, right? The we are the low-fare airline kind of thing. The identifying the core. Okay, that's exactly the same principle you want to employ in debates, which is you need to understand what at the end of the day is the crucial argument or arguments, generally not more than 3, that you have to win. Okay, so for Kurdistan independence or something like that, maybe it's all you have to do to win is establish that self-determination is a right and the Kurds have that right. Okay, those could be the 2 things that you just have to win. And it doesn't matter if they have a DA on the Kurds are going to make bad decisions or there's going to be unrest in the Middle East. All of that stuff doesn't matter if you understand that rights come first and that they have the right to self-determination, something like that. That's identifying the crux, and it's going to change every round depending on your case. It's going to change depending on what the other team runs and what the other team argues. But take 30 seconds during prep time and ask yourself, is this argument the crux of the debate? If not, then ask yourself, is this one the crux? And ask that until you find the crux of the debate.